All right, it is a little bit after 7. It's 7:01, so we're going to go ahead and open the meeting. So thank you, everyone. This is our first regularly scheduled board meeting of the new year. Hope you all had a great holiday. And we'll get going with a flag salute. So Trustee Gursky, can you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Sir, everybody please rise, face the flag, hands over hearts.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, board. Next, we have the agenda review. Does anyone have any suggested changes to tonight's agenda? All right, we do not. So we will move on next to special presentations, starting with the superintendent report.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see so many people here tonight, and I especially want to thank the Harvest Grove School for coming out tonight. Right after my report, we're going to have you up here, and we're super excited to have you here today. So thank you so much for coming. I just want to highlight some of the things that have been taking place in the district since the last time we got together. So we were here just a week before the winter break, and so lots of amazing things going on in the district. I think you'll find a theme in this presentation of there's not only amazing things going on from our staff, but also from the community and supporting our schools. So this is Mrs. Breitenbucher at Edna Hill with a winter concert going on. So wonderful things there. I wanted to highlight, I saw this gratitude quilt that was put together by Lisa Gray Seamers, a teacher out at Brentwood Elementary. It was a great thing and really popular for people to read and see the things that the students created. I was able to go out and visit Todd Shasker's class out at 5th grade in Pioneer, and he's working on building thinking classrooms with support from Tiffany Ward, and really to see him so excited about it and all the great work that students were doing. So that was a really fun visit, and thank him for having me out there. Also the time of year where students are having events too. So Edna Hill leadership students with teacher Sarah Jenkins were putting on a social for Edna Hill students, so fun winter activities for them. This is a great tradition that takes place every year. It's the Caring and Kindness Club out at Ron Nunn that does caroling for their neighborhood partners with Somerset that they go out. And so it's a really nice event. It took place on the 15th of December. So many of our students and staff members were immersed in the Brentwood Regional Community Chest in collecting toys and food for over 350 local families. So I wanted to acknowledge it. So these are some students that have collected some things for the bins in there. You can see that, and then you can see what the sorting looks like at Brentwood Elementary on that Friday night of the 16th, and packing those boxes. So over 350 of those boxes were packed with food. And then also wanted to thank Lisa Bustias and BTA for being out there serving hot chocolate for everyone. That was a nice treat on a cold night. So it was great out there. And then this is what it looks like on Saturday morning as the families come through and get their toys and their food, and hopefully have a better holiday as a result of the generosity of the people across the district. So thank you to everybody who participated in that. I also want to acknowledge the Village Community Resource Center and their partnership with Maria Gonzalez and Mary Casey Black and their English Learner Advisory Council. So for hosting that meeting out there and helping us to get more parents involved. It's a great partnership. This is an organization, the Mothers of Brentwood, or the MOB, supports us every year. And this year they adopted families across the district and provided an amazing amount of gifts and support that was delivered to families out there. So I want to thank them for their kindness and generosity. This is a wonderful thing that Lisa Shaw, who's an account clerk here in the district, does every year in honor of her son, Nick, who passed. She started a St. Nick program that adopts a family each year, and the gifts for their kids and also for the adults in their family. It's a really nice event. So thank you to Lisa for organizing that every year. A new organization that popped up a couple years ago that's back after the pandemic is Brentwood Bikes and Brews. And they actually raised money and did events to donate bikes to 35 of our students across the district. So it was it was great. I was able to be at a couple places where those bikes were delivered to kids, and it was just it's just a really special thing. So there's a lot of, wait, I get to take that home? So I was out visiting Miss McMullen's class out at second grade in Brentwood Elementary, and those students were traveling around the world there. You can see with their suitcases and their stamps to learn about holiday traditions in different countries. So they were in Germany on the day that I was there learning about that. So that was lots of fun to see that. I want to thank the Brentwood Police Department and Officer Bollinger and the Grinch who came out to other schools, but also this was at Pioneer Elementary and hung out with students and apparently hogged the swing for a while. So it's important to remember to count on the swing, and the Grinch wasn't doing that. I want to congratulate these Marsh Creek students who were reclassified as English learners, so they became English proficient. So a huge accomplishment and great job to them, and with Principal De Afonso there celebrating. Mrs. Munoz's fifth grade class out at Pioneer made luminaries. So this was after learning about Las Posadas with the community celebration lessons. So great display and a great opportunity to learn about other holiday traditions. I love the picture with the dog, so I definitely put this one in. So this is Caleb. That is Paxton. Caleb was principal for, I think, half a day out at Mary Casey Black. And so he made announcements. He visited classrooms. You can see there, I'm not sure that that's an ergonomic position that's correct there at the desk, so we might have to have that looked at by HR. But congratulations on Paxton on a job well done. I want to thank the staff of Harvest Grove for inviting me out. I had such a fun time playing kickball with you, and we were able to get out there and avoid the rain, so it was really fun. So thank you for having me out there. It was a great time. This one's actually just absolutely amazing to me. So Wendy Kamalakis, who's one of our guest teachers, so at Brentwood Elementary, for the second year in a row, she actually made every kindergartner at Brentwood Elementary a handmade hat. And this year, because I guess she had extra time, she made every TK student a scarf. So thank you to Wendy. That's just an amazing thing to do. We continue to have stellar musical students. And so this is Adams Middle School Choir that was out at the National Anthem for the Warrior game on January 7th. I won't tell you the score because the Warriors didn't do as well as the choir did. But thank you to Director Kevin Fallon for leading that and giving our students that opportunity. And speaking of amazing music students, so these are some of our 12 students across all three middle schools who were selected to participate in the California Music Education or Educators Base Section Conference Band. So it took place at San Jose State University. So this is the choir and the band that was out there, and they had weekend performances. So it's a big honor to be out there. So congratulations to all of them. I want to congratulate Mary Casey Black Principal Maria Gonzalez, who was selected as Delta Charter's Elementary Principal of the Year. So great honor. We're very proud of you, Maria. So congratulations. And then two teachers in our district were also selected for honors by the California League of Schools. So Catherine Daniels, who's our counselor at Edna Hill, who actually just presented here a meeting or two ago, I think it was. And then Helen Calloway, who's a dynamic special education teacher out at Adams Middle School. So really congratulations to Katie and to Helen on that accomplishment as well. And that's my report this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Superintendent. Before we move on to the next presentation, I do want to acknowledge that Trustee Emil Geddes is not with us tonight. He is preparing for a special night tomorrow as we dedicate the Bristol Middle School Theater to him. He's currently picking up some VIP guests to be ready and here for tomorrow's night event. So next up, we have a special student presentation from the students from Harvest Grove Elementary.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bree Faith, and I am the principal of Harvest Grove Virtual Ed Academy. I'm excited for you to learn more about and support this have a wonderful presentation for you tonight and have some special guests, our Miss Grove students with us to help share about our school. Hey, we're so cool to end. I'm really excited. Just one second. As you will see tonight, we will be focusing on our LCAT goals 2 and 4, intervention in school climate. As Harvest Grove is uniquely situated in a virtual setting, we strive to support our students in the ways we feel have the biggest impact. I will now turn it over to Kristen Zanko, one of our middle school teachers, who will demonstrate one of our middle school Tier 1 intervention support plans.
So I have Tom here, RJ, who comes to my mindfulness class. And so I'm really excited that he's here to practice. I'm actually going to ask all of you to practice with us. So the first thing is, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is being present in the here and the now, paying attention to our thoughts, bodily sensations, emotions, and external environment, kindness, non-judgment, and curiosity. Sorry, my position.
You're doing great.
So, practicing mindfulness empowers students in developing self-awareness, agency, freedom, and choice about how they respond to their inner experience, as well as to the world around them. This evening, we're going to learn a very basic mindfulness practice. There's often a lot to take in when we try to pay attention, so it can be helpful to slow things down and to settle a bit to support us in strengthening our attention. So we are going to start by noticing 3 breaths together. So deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Smelling the flowers and blowing out the candles. So I'd like you to allow yourself to sit in a comfortable and upright position. You can hold your hands in your lap, place them on your legs, and if it feels okay, go ahead and close your eyes or gaze down to the floor. See if you can notice the feeling of gravity. It's not something you have to pay attention to. See if you can bring awareness to this subtle downward force that's always acting on the body. And if it feels okay, you can just let your body get heavy. Remember, mindfulness is just about observing and paying attention to what's happening. There's nothing that is supposed to happen. And you can't do it wrong. Notice if there's anywhere in your body where you're holding tension. In your jaw, in your shoulders, in your face, neck. And see if you can let those areas of tension soften. As the body settles, simply be aware of the whole body sitting. This is mindfulness. Being aware of and feeling the sensations of your body sitting, noticing what it feels like to invite in a bit of stillness. You can think of this practice as a way of stepping back from all of the doing in our lives and practicing just being. It may feel odd at first because we spend many of our waking hours doing. Mindfulness can be a time when we let go of all the doing for a bit and learn to just notice what's happening underneath all of that doing. You don't have to notice anything special. In fact, your experience is usually very ordinary, and that's fine. So in just a moment, I will ring the bell to end this practice.
Okay, now Luke and Sophia and Lisa and Adriana and Josie and Matthias would like to share a little bit about how we strive to achieve all of our LCAP goals at Harvard Grove.
A is for assemblies and art classes, both in person and on Zoom. B is for bike challenges and meetups, and book clubs with our teachers. C is for cooking classes, character education, and counseling corner. D is for decorating cookies and digital citizenship.
E is for Ingenuity, our middle school curriculum. F is for Fishing Club, fast assessments, and flexibility in doing our schoolwork. G is for guest speakers. H is for Hiking Club and Hedgehogs, our school mascot. I is for IXL and interventions that support student needs.
C is for joining the clubs to meet new friends.
K is for kickball games
K is for kickball games
against our staff.
L is for library time. M is for mindfulness, meetups, middle school get-togethers, and math intervention. N is for nature club. O is for office hours with teachers. P is for park meetups. Q is for learning guide. R is for recorders, reading intervention, running club, and rock painting. S is for Stride K-12, story time, success skills class, social emotional learning lessons, Sunday reading intervention, and STEM challenges. T is for tennis club and our trunk or treat. U is for unique learning styles. V is for virtual learning. W is for winter wonderland and working at your own pace. X is for extra support time. Y is for yearbook club. Z is for Zoom sessions with our teachers.
So, because a lot of people don't know about Harvard Grove and what goes on, we made a little video. We put out a survey to parents. We asked them how they felt about their child being at Harvard Grove. So we have some of their testimonies along with some pictures, and enjoy it.
the freedom of knowing my son is able to have flexibility with his learning. It's not just sitting with textbooks constantly. I'm like a little family.
About educational activities outside of the school, and the teachers are really nice and fun, and they give you a great time.
I like Carter's Grove because it makes it more flexible for me to radio, and we can do educational activities for my school. Everything from parent who wants to be on the line, who wants to go on field trips. Hi, this is Meg, the proud principal of Carter's Grove Brentwood Academy. We are so proud of the work we've done to support and engage our kids and families. We will continue to provide a safe and welcoming alternative program for the families of Brentwood. Thank you so much for this opportunity to showcase our school. Thank you guys. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much. I have certificates. And I have Ronald. Joe. Siobhan. Not here. Luca. Joe. Luke. Thank you. Josie. Adriana. Sophia. Thank you so much. Another round of applause. I don't know about you, but it sounded like shots fired to the traditional classrooms in that video.
Will that video be posted on our website?
Would you like that video to be posted on the website?
It's a great advertisement.
Okay.
Seriously.
We can look at it.
You couldn't get any more professional than
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
somebody's on the fence or something.
Yeah.
Great as that thing.
Okay, we'll look into it. Thanks. And Harvest Grove parents and families, thank you so much for coming. You're more than welcome to stay, but we also know that it's a school night, kind of. So if you need to go, we understand.
Yes, thank you again. All right. So next we have, still under special presentations, et cetera, is the board member comment or committee reports. Do we have any tonight?
I'm just personally going back to the choir singing at the Warriors game. Just kind of curious why a board member isn't included to be a chaperone on that.
Oh, you know what? The chaperone positions are pretty highly coveted, but they also come with a cost as well. And so pretty much everybody that goes buys a ticket. And so I'd be happy to, next time that comes around, to send that information out to the board members.
I think it's only fair.
Unless you want to send in an audition tape for singing.
That's pretty ugly, right?
Okay. So then, yes, we
there's
can
a
do
shower
that.
there.
All right. Any other board comments or committee reports? Nope. All right. So then we'll move on to item number 7, which is public comment.
I'll make a motion. We open public comment.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? What? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So at this time, the public is permitted to address the school board on items that are on the consent calendar, request for future agenda items, or items that are not on the agenda. Or items that are not on the agenda, excuse me. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes per person. While we encourage your comments, unfortunately, state law prevents us from discussing items that are not on our agenda. Public comments can be made at this time or during the appropriate agenda item. We do take them very seriously, and if appropriate, staff will follow up. I do have one speaker card. Do I have any others? All right, so at this time, I will call up Philip Rodriguez.
Well, hello. I miss my audience. fortunately, I have you folks. So, I am Philip Rodriguez, and I am a teacher in the school district. I have been for a very long time, and I've worked with many of you in different capacities. I currently teach at Bristow, but I'm here in the capacity as a co-chair for the Turkey Trot Run for Schools, and I'm way overdue. We've had 9 successful years because of the work that's been done by many of you in this room and many in this community. And I've never come in to thank the Brentwood Union School District for everything they do for us. So I just thought it would be appropriate to take a few minutes, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, to tell you that, thank you for the use of the office here. Thank you for the use of district trailer. Thank you for the use of the district barriers to help make the run safe. Thank you for the use of your garbage cans and dumpsters. Yes, thank you for that. And thank you, principals as well, for allowing signage and promotional information to be put on the fences and gates and windows of your schools, as well as allowing us to be online. That makes a really big difference for us. And I also think it's appropriate to just tell you about a few of the things that have been purchased with the money that we've raised over the last 9 years. And this is just a small list. Middle school and elementary schools have exercise equipment, running machines, plyometric boxes, medicine balls, yoga mats, jump ropes, frisbees, climbing walls, Gaga ball pits. Thank you. Gaga Go ball pits, scoop ball sets, agility rings, foam polo indoor sets, badminton sets, course markers like pylons and cones, shade trees at Bristow. Lost my place. I got a pretty long list here. There it is. Pickleball equipment, disc golf equipment, my personal favorite, and sound amplification systems across the entire school district. So that's just a small list. And I just once again want to thank Brentwood Union School District for not only being my home, but also being the school that really helps make this event happen. So thank you very much.
If there are no other public comments, oh, go ahead.
We netted approximately $75,000, $80,000.
Nice.
So we split that between the high school and our district.
Yeah.
So we did pretty well. We had about 2,200 runs.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No.
I'll make a,
I can add on. So I know you as Phil through my husband. I want to thank you for also paying it forward through your support with Miles for Males first annual 5K. A lot of the information that you've shared on how to get it started has been very helpful. So thank you.
I'll make a motion. We close public comment.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, next up, we'll go to item number 8, consent items. The approval of consent items.
If nobody has any discussion, I move that we approve consent items 8.0 through 8.8.
Second.
All right, I've got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next up, we'll move on to item number 9, hearings and appeals. There were none, so we can move on to item number 10, report out of closed session. There are no report outs, so we will move on to item number 10.1. All right, can I get a motion for
Move that
item?
we approve item 10.1, the expulsion of student number 12-2022-05.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Moving on to item number 10.2, the approval of 2021-2022 audit report.
Good evening, Board. James Marta was supposed to be present tonight. He's a no. He was confirmed this morning, so I'm not sure what's going on. I apologize on his behalf. I know you were presented with the material. Before I get started or finish, I just want to make sure that I acknowledge Melissa Guzman and her accounting staff. Melissa's in the audience. I'm going to make her stand up. The bottom line is there were no findings, which is pretty common in this district, thanks to Melissa and her hard work and her staff, which is Kelly, Cavallera, Flora, Maritza, and Lisa. They do a lot of work in that department, and the credit for the audit goes to them, not to me. That's the work that they do, the work that she does with the auditors. They test a lot of material, which James would explain to you tonight, and he'd answer any questions that you have. But essentially, there's a lot of stuff going on across the state. Many district audits are late. Ours is on time, and it's submitted clear. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but that's in front of you tonight for your acceptance.
I'd just like to say thank you, Robin, to you and your staff. It's always refreshing and thankful to hear that there are no findings in our audits, and it's been like that as long as I've been here. So much appreciated. Looks like an honor.
James here, if you want to ask any questions, I'll put him on the spot.
So James, we're past the presentation phase, but if you'd like to be, if you're here and able to answer any questions for the board, you're able to do that. So does the board have any questions for auditor?
I do not.
Nope, no questions.
No, it was a very well-written report. Kind of answered all the questions.
Okay.
So thank you. All right. So then can I get a motion to close or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 21-22 audit report under item 10.2.
I second.
All right. I got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carried.
Thanks,
Next.
James.
Yeah. Well, that was easy, huh? All right. Next, we're moving on to item 10.3, the approval of resolution 2023-02.
Yes, that's mine. Recently, you had a, thanks, James. If you remember a meeting ago, or 2 meetings ago, you approved the resolution for a very similar, which is the Cal State SHAP application for HVAC. This is the Cal Shape application for plumbing. So they've done the review. We've done the application. All that stuff goes through. And now this is them saying, okay, they've accepted our application. They've approved the funding. There's no funding in the books yet, so that's still waiting. And so this just says, this resolution finishes our application. So when and if those funds become available, they'll be allocated to us and we go through the implementation phase. So it's about $1.7 million to address some of the aging plumbing issues in our district, but it's an opportunity available to all districts across the state.
And HVAC, did you say? HVAC?
Any questions from the
No,
board?
this is plumbing. HVAC was the one before.
Right. I just wanted, if you wanted to mention that.
Yeah, the HVAC was 1.4 million. That one's more of an inspection. This is actually a repair and replace.
Yeah. Okay.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right.
Nope.
I'll get a motion.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-02, which is the resolution.
I'll second.
All right. I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Next up, item number 10.4, approval of tentative agreement with Brentwood Teachers Association.
Yeah, good evening, Board. Proud to bring to you tonight our tentative agreement with the Brentwood Teachers Association. Specifically, what you're seeing in your packet is Article 8 concerning the SLP salary schedule that I really want to thank the BTA leadership and the negotiation team. We worked really hard to create this. As you know, there's 9 contractors currently serving in Brentwood, and we'd like them to be our employees. And so this is a lot of hard work and puts us in a more competitive environment with surrounding districts. In addition, Article 9 and Article 10 are also before you, but in the coming months, you will also see Article 22, 16, and 19. And so this is the first time that the Brentwood School District has been able to complete the negotiations and begin negotiating for next year. And so we're really thankful for the relationship that we have with the Brentwood Teachers Association. I'd like to thank the negotiations team and thank Lisa for her leadership, as well as the Brentwood School District team of Lauren Griggs and Julie Croy and Robin Schmidt.
Yeah, if I could just add on and just publicly acknowledge the work of both the HR department and BTA and their leadership in trying to work together and problem solve. It's I think this has been a really positive experience, and we really appreciate the hard work that you put into the relationship going forward. So thank you for that.
I'd also like to thank you and Robin and you, all the staff. It's just been such a pleasure for Steve and I, who were on the committee, not to have to stress out and bang our heads along with you guys and stuff. So great job for everybody, and it's nice, if we approve it, to have it behind us.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
I move that we approve item 10.4, the tentative agreement with Brentwood Teachers Association.
A second.
All right, I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next up, we're moving to item 10.5, the approval of updated vice principal job description.
Yeah, so what you have before you is our new job description. We updated it as we are going out and posting that next week and closing on February 1st for vice principals for our elementary schools. And so this is an updated job description, make it more current with the responsibilities of the vice principal.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
No.
All right, can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the updated vice principal job description 10.5.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I insist.
I'll second.
All right, I got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next moving on to item 10.6, an update on the 2022-23 strategic action planning and LCAP process.
So this is just an ongoing information piece for you, board. You've seen this timeline before. Where we are now is we had our midterm update to the board last week. Tonight, after this meeting, we'll be working to send out a survey to all staff and all families in the district to help inform the goal-setting process for next year. In addition to that, we'll be reforming our strategic action planning team. So we'll be reaching out to the members that were on last year's team and seeing if they want to continue, and if not, replacing them depending on the structure going forward. There's also an opportunity for board participation, so we'll be reaching out to you as well. TWE was your representative last year, and there's the opportunity for up to 2 board members to participate as we go forward. So just an information item, but it's really the starting point for our goal setting as we head into next school year.
All right, any questions, or thank you, any questions or comments from the board before we move to the next agenda item? All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 10.7, California School Dashboard Update.
So Michael Bowen's going to present on that item. I think we got there a little faster than I anticipated.
We're moving.
I was wishing I had done what James did. Good evening, Board of Education.
It's not too late.
I'm here to present on the school dashboard. The state dashboard is a tool that the state uses to report out on different metrics for each district and each school. There are a set of state metrics that are reported out, and those are listed down the left-hand side of this slide. And there are a state of local measures that are reported on. And those, the state measures of the 6 that are listed there, as an elementary and middle school district, we're only responsible for 4 of them. So we don't have to report out on graduation rates or college and career readiness. Typically, the state dashboard shows so I just lost my word. It shows progress, and it shows achievement. We don't have this year the progress, the growth, because we haven't had some of these metrics the past few years. So for this year, performance levels are only reported out on status level. So it's a low, from low to high. The local measures typically are either you met them, you didn't meet them, or you didn't meet them for 2 or more years. And those also this year are only reported as met because we don't have longitudinal data. The dashboard is directly linked to the LCAP, so we're required as LEA to use data from the dashboard in the following areas of the LCAP. So as some of you participate in the LCAP process going forward, these are the areas where we're required to use data to report on the LCAP. This is what this year the overview page of the dashboard looks like for BUSD. So you can see the areas that have a purple band above them or a purple chart are the state metrics, and then the other ones listed there with where it says standard met are the local measures. So for chronic absenteeism, we had a score of very high. For suspension rate, medium. For English learner progress, medium. English language arts, medium. And math, low. It should be noted that it's a little bit weird because you would want, for chronic absenteeism and suspension rate, you don't want to be very high, but for English learner progress and English language arts and math, you do want to be very high. Some of the highlights, I want to point out some highlights from the dashboard. We did outperform the state in both English language arts and math and English learner progress. So you can see that for example, in English language arts, we scored a medium. We were 5 points above standard. The way that works is they take all of the scores for our students in English language arts. They add up all the scale scores and they divide by the number of students, and then they determine how far away from standard you were on average. So we outscored the state in all three of those areas, barely in EL progress, quite substantially in math, and reasonably in English language arts. A couple of other highlights. We had one school, Adams Middle School, that scored very high on English learner progress, and 2 schools that scored high. We had 2 schools that scored very low on suspension rate and 3 schools that scored low on suspension rate. We had 4 schools that scored high on English language arts. And we had 1 school that scored high in mathematics. I pulled this out as a highlight because I think this is probably one of the more fascinating pieces of the data pulled from the dashboard. So this is in English language arts, and this is just our English learners and how they performed in English language arts compared to our English only students. So our current English learners, those students that are still English learners, last year on the SBAC test scored 74 points below standard. Not good. There are 480 students. When we get students to the level where they were reclassified, you saw in Dr. Eaton's presentation some students that were being recognized for reclassification. Those students scored 27.5 points above standard, well outperforming our English only students. So this is really a goal of ours. This has been a statistic that we've seen in the district for a long time, and really we're working very hard to make sure we can reclassify as many students so that they are ready, and typically, as you can see, they outperform our other students. Some areas for improvement, math was really low for us. Well, officially by the state, low, not very low, 27.5 points below standard. And if you can see that I pulled some of the demographic groups there, and we had no student groups that scored very high, 2 student groups that scored high, 2 student groups that scored medium, but the majority of our student groups scored low or very low. The reason there's no performance level for American Indian or foster youth is there's not a statistically significant group of students there. The other area for improvement is chronic absenteeism. This one the previous one I would say we need to look very seriously at. This one obviously too, but I would take this with a grain of salt because absenteeism has been very high across the state generally over the last year.
Michael, maybe I missed it, but what year is these for?
This is this is for last year.
Okay.
Yeah, 21, 22. Thank you. Sorry for not putting that in here.
I think one of the challenges in the data is even though one part of the state required us to keep students out for up to 10 days with any sort of positive test or exposure, the other part of the state decided not to change any of the chronic absenteeism rules, which put the number of districts that went into differentiated support went from 1/3 of the districts across the state to 2/3, and majority were because of chronic absenteeism. And so, it's still not back to where it was, right? We still have a lot of students that are out. We still have a much higher absent rate than we did traditionally. It's better than it was last year, but it's still a challenge. And I think we'll see that hopefully gradually improve.
Yeah, and they didn't change the thresholds at all either for what qualifies for very high or high. And as Dr. Eaton mentioned, we have qualified for differentiated assistance. For those of you around during program improvement, this is the state's version now. There are 3 student groups that qualified us. To qualify, you have to have a student group has to be very, very low or very high, depending on the metric, in 2 or more areas. So for our African American student group, they were very low in terms of a very high absenteeism and very high suspension. And then similarly for foster youth. And then our students with disabilities also had the absenteeism, but they also scored very low in ELA and math. I would tell you that prior to COVID and distance learning, when they actually suspended differentiated assistance for a little bit, we were probably going to head into there for that bottom category of students with disabilities. So that one's not surprising. I think the absenteeism piece is frustrating because without that, our foster youth and African American students wouldn't fall into differentiated assistance. What does that mean? Later this week, I'll be meeting with the county office. They are the provider of that assistance. And Jeff Weiss and Kirsten Job will be joining me to find out what that means for us to be in differentiated assistance. It's really support through the county, so they will help define that for us. My last slide is just some resources. This bottom link will take you to the dashboard if you want to see that. And then there's some resources related to my presentation. Any questions?
Just real quick, I'm assuming that we will get an update after your meeting with the county.
Sure, absolutely.
What their
Happy to do
recommendations are. Thank you.
Yep.
Can you briefly touch on the, I said I wouldn't ask too many questions. I'm looking at the clock. Briefly touch on the suspension. Why? I mean, we suspend under state rules. It's not like we make up our own rules.
Yeah.
Why are we in the very?
The state has a threshold there, and they just expect it to be below that threshold. I'm not sure that's a sufficient answer, but there's cut points and they want us to improve, to lower our suspension over time, suspension rates.
Is it, how many roughly? I mean, not to hold you to it, but.
We'll find out what our county meetings, what that looks like, but I would like to know what that should be.
No, I meant how many, yeah.
So we last year had 430 suspensions.
Yikes, okay.
How does that compare to an average year prior to COVID?
That's pretty.
Is it pretty standard?
Yeah.
It was 419.
Thank you.
And this is an assumption, most of them at the middle school level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of the metric that the state looks at is disproportionality. So you look at a population, right, and you see the number of students and the percentage that they make up within the school district, and then how does that percentage compare to how many students were suspended? So if 5% of your students were foster students, but they made up 15% of the suspensions, then there's a disproportionality in there, and that's what they use to compare. And so that's part of what we'll look at as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And I know that the district is starting to do some restorative justice practices, so I'm curious to see how that pans out with these data points in the future and how that impacts lowering these suspension rates and other things that we're seeing.
Yeah, there is a lot of work being done in all those areas. Last week, we talked about the building thinking classrooms, which is that math piece to impact those math scores. So yeah, we'll come back and give you a report on differentiated assistance and where we're going with that.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I had a question for the chronic absenteeism. When you look at the bar graph, if it's very high, then why is it just one bar colored in? I guess I'm not reading it
It's
right.
a reverse bar, I believe.
Yeah, they did the bars the same way. I mean, for that one, it's a reverse bar. For English language arts, it's very high as, so that when you look at the graph, one dot is always bad, even though it's called very high in absenteeism and very low in English language arts.
We scored low because we were high.
Yeah. There you go, Steve.
There it is. Yeah.
This is why you don't see news agencies reporting on this, because it's now become too confusing for them to report on.
Yeah.
So
Then
the
why do we do it?
colored bar means the score.
Yes, but more bars is better for all categories.
Yeah, think of it like a phone, like a cell phone. So more bars is better.
Except for this and suspensions?
No, more bars is always better.
Yeah.
It's just that one is very high and the other's very low.
Okay, I get it.
So if we had 5 bars, we'd be very low.
Yeah.
And I learned a new term today, reverse.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board before I move to the next agenda item? All right, so thank you again, Michael, for your update. Next up, we will move on to item number 10.8, which is the 2023-2024 enrollment projections.
Yeah. So very quickly. All right, I thought I had it right. So very quickly, board, I know this is in your packet. And it's an information item. We're bringing information to you, just sort of show you where we are in our projection process, because this will lead to the staffing. We'll bring you our staffing proposal through Chris at the next meeting. If you look at the bottom and you look at current year, our current population right now, just the other day, was 9536. And we're projecting right now 9672 next year for purposes of staffing. Now, I want to break that down for you a little bit. If you look at the bottom in the current year, there's 1,088 eighth graders. And you at the next line over, there's only 901 kindergartens coming in. So if I break it down, really, we need to grow 1,224 students to get to 9672. That's 100 TK. It's 901 kindergartners, which you can see the growth factor on there. So you go from 270 TK to 365. So that's just about 100 kids TK growth that we're projecting. And we're projecting about 900 kindergartners next year. Because of our growth in TK, we're projecting a little bit more. We'll have to monitor that. And then the rest of them are just the grades that roll forward and down. And so I always look at it in a different way. We're projecting 100 new TKs, and that's our projections. We're projecting about 900 kindergartens, which is sort of the rate of what we're seeing in terms of enrollment. But that means we need to grow another 223 students to meet our target. And so that's why I say that, is even though there's 9672, it looks like a standard growth for us. That built growth in there. This aligns with our demographer, but it also tells me what I'm looking at is it gives us growth of about 223 new students on top of the kinders and the TKs. And with the staffing, it gives us space for about another 42 students across the district. So it's just an alignment. It's where we are. It's tough because what I would say is it's not a wild guess. Because we're trying to use as many variables that we understand. But this year, our projections were under, both our projections and the demographer were projections, because the growth was unheard of this year for us relative to the last 5 or 10 years. So it's something we're monitoring very closely. I think we're taking a conservative high approach in terms of we're going to project this growth, and we'll monitor that growth and adjust the staffing before school starts. What I don't want to be in the position of, and what the district doesn't want to be in the position of, is when we get to August, we're short 4 or 5 teachers because we didn't project the growth. I think it's a little easier to look in the other direction for staffing than try to find staffing in August. But that's where we are right now.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways from this, when you look at this projection, and we're probably 2 years away from being a district of 10,000 students. So as we continue to grow and TK continues to become a full grade level, right, we're soon likely to see that. And that's information for you tonight, Board.
I see that we're having it at Garin School,
Having what at Garin School?
the next board meeting because of this. According to the board meeting, March 8th. Garin School.
Yeah, the next one's in February, but the March one is more because of the boundary process that we'll talk about in the next one. Yeah.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure that wasn't.
We just want to make sure that there's enough space for anybody that wants to come give their input and participation on the boundary process as we go forward.
I think I wanted February to be over already. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, thank you for the information. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Robin, real quick, what is our historical high student population? Are we there now, or?
We're there now.
Okay.
But we're there now. The catch, as you know, is because well, how's that tied to funding? Because we're higher. Well, we're averaging about 93% attendance. So our attendance is still lower than it was in 1920. I have all that data if you're interested, but
the high-low score?
Yeah.
Push that thing around.
So
I have that slide. I have a couple more slides. No.
So we have more kids, but they're not showing up as much as
That's right.
the less students that we used to.
I would say that's true, but we also know that based on what's going on in the nation, we're experiencing both COVID and RSV. There's lots of stuff going on that are affecting the illness of our kids. And thankfully, parents, when kids are sick, they're keeping them home.
Right.
And so, it's one of those good things, bad things, but
From a financial perspective, we have more students, we have more staff for those students, but because we only get paid by students who show up, we have less funding for that than we would typically.
And there's no waiver for COVID.
Well, there's that whole waiver that went into place last year that's helped us a little bit. But it hasn't helped us to the point now of what we would have if we had regular attendance, typical attendance.
What I meant to say is, for this school year, if we don't have like a COVID-related illness and the state will give us.
There's no waiver for that, no.
Okay.
No.
Thanks.
In fact, we're in differentiated assistance as a result.
Sick is a sick. Okay.
All right, great questions. Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, moving on to item number 10.9, the boundary process update.
Yeah, Board, tonight this is just an update from our last presentation we did on the boundary. We want to show you the newsletter that is going out to families this week. In addition, we have a link on our website to the boundary map so that parents can know which school, where the boundary changes are occurring. We took your advice on the boundary presentation. We made some changes to it, cleaned up some language, and we shortened it up. Really, we removed Robin from the process is what we did. He threw me under the bus in the last one. So. Any questions for me on the boundary update?
I think I was on 10.9 when I asked the meeting question, so a little tired. My apologies.
Well, thanks for the information, giving us an opportunity to see what will be presented. So if there's no other questions or comments from the board, we will move on to item number 10.10, the first reading of board policy, bylaw, and administrative regulations.
Yeah, these are just standard updates that are there for you, board. And Nicole, as always, did an excellent summary on why they're there. Most of them are court decisions and updated legal decisions that have resulted in the board policy being recommended to be changed. And it's there for you, and it'll come back the next time for approval if there aren't any questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for keeping us up to speed on what's happening and the changes that are coming our way. Any questions or comments?
I have a quick comment. As I think Steve or somebody said in the very beginning, this was your first meeting as far as open to the public, and I just want to compliment you. You did a wonderful job and kept it moving, and I wish I did such a great job when I was first president, because I was so clueless.
Well, I have both of you to show me the ropes, so appreciate it.
He wasn't here when I was first president.
All right. Well, with that, moving on to item number 11, any board member comments or future agenda items? Don't be shy.
Nothing at this time.
All right, nothing. So moving on, item number 12, our next regular board meeting will be held on February 22nd starting at 6 with closed session. Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Nice.
Have a good night.
See the signature for each of you guys?